What's up, guys? I'm Avi.
I'm Matt.
And we're about to jump into the 5-5 meetup game with Andrew Neeme, Brad Owen, and Johnnie Vibes.
Should be a ton of action. Hopefully we can find some run good. Wish us luck.
I pull up on you in the new Brent truck. Money stacked up, money stacked up. Ice on my wrist and my neck jewels. Grinding every day, ain't worried about damn fools. Youngest in the gang and I go Rambo. Walk with it is the name and I go loco. Doing it solo, take a photo. I'm a classy man, I'm rocking polo. Trying to rock with
She looks like a bluffer to me. The ISO raised.
I like it. I like it.
And call, limp call, flop.
Limp, you see a lot of limp calls here in San Antonio.
Flop, he checks, and then he don't bet.
How'd that work out for him?
I snap call right here.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're working with, some sort of draw? I think he needs some help.
Oh, wow.
That one's got to go on. Hold on. That one's got to go in.
get when you talk a lot. I rent it all, I meant the plug.
Session went well, should I say that?
Yeah.
Here are some of
Let's
get right into it. Let's get right into it. Yeah, let's get straight into
jump
it.
into the action.
Let's jump into it.
Let's jump into the action.
What's up, guys? The 5-5 meetup game ended up being a huge success. There were at least 10 5-5 games going, tons of action, huge stacks, and the $10 straddle was on just about every hand.
It was awesome to get to see Andrew and Brad and Johnny in person. We've already met Brad and Andrew before, but it was really cool to get to meet Johnny and talk to him. He was just overall a really great guy. He let us sweat some of his hands, and overall was just some really great action at the tables tonight. Let's jump straight in the action right now. So for this hand, we pick up pocket eights under the gun and the $10 button straddle is on. We go ahead and raise to $35 pre, and we actually go 5 ways to the flop, which comes down ace of clubs, 3 of clubs, 4 of spades. We completely whiff, and we're pretty much just looking to check fold. So we go ahead and check, and action actually checks all the way through, and the turn comes out, and it's a very interesting card. It's the 8 of clubs. So it completes the front door flush draw, but gives us a set. Now the small blind goes ahead and decides to lead out into the $175 pot. He leads out for $85. When the action folds to us, we're just gonna be looking to call here. This player's been playing pretty consistently tight all night long, and I don't feel that putting in a raise here is the best move. We're getting a good price to call, and hopefully if we hit our boat, the opponent has a strong flush, and maybe we're looking to stack him here. The rest of the action folds all the way through, and we're heads up to the river, which comes a complete brick. We totally brick out, and our opponent goes ahead and decides to bet $250 now. And we go ahead and think for a little while. We beat almost nothing here. I don't think that he's gonna be taking this line with his 2 pair combos. I think we can just go ahead and fold because we don't beat a whole lot on this board.
All right, so in this hand, I pick up pocket queens under the gun, and I open up for $25. Guy to my left 3-bets me to 50, so min 3-bet, and someone else cold calls. It goes back to me. I decided to just flat because this guy is pretty tight, and he's 3-betting and under the gun opening range, so I think he's gonna be pretty strong. So I just call, and I flop the nuts. Queen 5-6 with 2 hearts. Check it over to the 3-better. He fires out for 100 into 150. The caller pre goes ahead and calls 100, and now it's back on me. This board's really wet, so I'm definitely gonna wanna put in a raise. Go ahead and make it $400 into a $350 pot. And the 3-better, he decides to lay it down. I guess he maybe just had ace king or something like that and decided to stab. And the guy who just called the 100 now shoves all in for $1,750, and I have him covered.
I can respect it. You're a ripper guy, man.
Gamble, gamble. It goes back on me. I'm obviously loving the situation. I have the nuts, so I go ahead and make the call.
1750.
I mean, I'm not pulling the nuts.
Good luck, guys.
He turns over 7-8 of hearts, so he's got the open-ended straight flush draw. So we're actually not looking as good as we were. I go ahead and ask him if he wants to run it twice, and in true Texas one-time fashion, he elects to just run it once. So that's it, all in, almost $4,000 pot, biggest pot of my life, and we're almost flipping. The dealer goes ahead and burns and turns out the offsuit jack, and the river comes a jack of hearts, giving him the flush, but giving me the boat.
God damn, no shit.
Wow, shit.
So we go ahead and hold and take it down.
For this hand, we pick up ace queen offsuit on the big blind, and the middle position player goes ahead and raises to $25. The hijack calls, and we go ahead and call behind, completing the action. 3 ways to the flop, which comes down ace jack 3 rainbow. So we flop top pair, but we're gonna go ahead and check this one over to the pre-flop raiser. And the pre-flop raiser goes ahead and decides to fire out a c-bet of $45. The hijack calls, and we're gonna go ahead and overcall here because the hijack has been calling super light all night, calling with as light as ace high. I think we're gonna have the best hand here as long as the middle position player is bluffing, and he's really the only player that we need to be worried about here. So we go ahead and decide on a call. The turn comes and offsuit 9, essentially a total brick. Not worried about a whole lot of hands. I think we're still gonna have the best hand here unless the middle position player has a better hand than us. We decide to check to the middle position player to see if he's gonna fire out a bet, and he actually decides on checking. At this point now, the hijack fires out a bet of $105, about half pot, and we're gonna call because I think that he's gonna be overvaluing a lot of worse hands at this point, and maybe just be thinking that he has the best hand, and because he calls down so light, we're thinking that this is gonna be the case. So we call, and the middle position player actually folds. So we're heads up to the river, which comes another ace. We pick up trips, but we're still worried that the other player might have a boat, so we're gonna go ahead and check it over to him. And the hijack decides to fire out a bet of 1/4 pot. So when the action comes back to us, I'm thinking that's not enough value for my hand. I probably have the best hand, and that he's overvaluing a worse hand than mine with the way that the action's gone. So we're gonna go ahead and put in a raise, but not too large in the event that he does have a boat and he raises, and we can just go ahead and fold. So we go ahead and click it back to him for 250. He pretty much snap calls. We turn over ace queen, and he goes ahead and shows an ace right before mucking. We go ahead and scoop up that pot with ace queen, river trips, great result.
So in this hand, I pick up pocket 2s in the small blind. It folds around to the button, who's been opening a lot of hands, and he opens for a pretty big sizing. He makes it 30 to go, no straddle or anything. So it really looks like a steal, and because I think he's not very strong, I don't think I have much implied odds with my pocket 2s, so I decide to turn them into a semi-bluff and 3-bet them to 110, hoping to just take it down pre. The big blind gets out of the way, and it goes back to him, and unfortunately he makes the call, but I'm not that worried. I still think I'm ahead here. The flop comes 3, 5, 10, rainbow. I go ahead and make a small c-bet of about half pot, 105, 110, and he pretty quickly lays it down, so we get that one through.
For this hand, we pick up ace queen offsuit in the big blind again, and this time the cutoff goes ahead and bets $20. The button calls, and when action folds back to us, we're looking to put in a raise here. We raise to $100. The cutoff decides on a call, and the button folds, so we are heads up to a flop, which comes down 6, 8, 10 rainbow. So we completely whiff, but we're gonna go ahead and try to take it down with a c-bet here. We decide to bet out $75, kind of a down bet, repping an overpair of pretty much any kind, or maybe even a flop set. And the cutoff, who is a total non-believer, floats almost every single flop, goes ahead and decides on a call. So when the turn comes and it is a 9, putting the 4-liner on the board, we are unimproved, but the fact that the cutoff has a propensity to float almost every flop means that he shouldn't have a whole lot here. We're gonna go ahead and just punish him for that. So we go ahead and bet out $200, and the cutoff pretty much snap folds. So we get that one through and take down a pretty nice sized pot.
So in this next hand, we pick up pocket 8s in the hijack, and we go ahead and open it up for $25 in front of one limp, and the button now makes it $80. The limper folds, and we go ahead and call. I've been raising and re-raising a lot of hands, so I think he's just getting fed up, so I think he's doing this pretty light, and we're definitely deep enough to set mine. So I call. The flop comes 7, 8 jack with 2 diamonds, so we flop middle set. We go ahead and check it over to him, and he decides to overbet the pot. He bets $200 into 175, and it gets back to me, and I decide to raise here because it's a really wet board, and I don't think he's gonna fold hands like aces or kings or draws, so I wanna get my money in good. So we go ahead and raise to 400, 400, and he snap shoves all in, and we snap call.
All in.
Call. I asked him if he wants to run it once or twice. He says just once. So the dealer puts out the worst cards in the deck, the king of diamonds and the ace of diamonds. We're definitely not happy with our situation. We lose to aces, we lose to kings, and we lose to any diamond higher than 8. We table our hand reluctantly, and to my surprise, it's good. He mucks his hand, and we pull in a almost $2,000 pot.
For this hand, we pick up Queen 10 suited in middle position and go ahead and put in a raise to $20. The button instantly re-raises to 85. He's short stacked, he only has 150 behind. The small blind cold calls, and when the action comes back to me, I think I can actually fold here, but because the small blind and I are so deep and I'm in position against him, I'm actually fine playing a big pot against him, so I decide on a call as well. We're 3 ways to a flop, which comes down Queen 6, 7 with 2 diamonds. The small blind checks, I go ahead and check to the pre-flop raiser, who goes ahead and shoves all in for 150 into the $240 pot. The small blind actually tanks for quite a while before folding, and when the action comes back to us, I think we're just gonna have to call here. We're gonna get a very good price to call. Because the board is so wet, I think it's very possible that the button could be on some kind of draw. So that's what we do, we decide on a call. The turn is an offsuit deuce, the river an offsuit ace, and the button actually turns over ace king offsuit and spikes the ace on the river, so our queens are no good. We do not hold, and we lose that pot.
So in this hand, I pick up Queen Jack off on the button, and it folds around to me. I go ahead and raise for value and to try to steal the blinds. I make it $25. The small blind folds, and the big blind defends. We go heads up to the flop, which comes Jack 4-4 rainbow. He checks. I go ahead and c-bet to $25, and he makes the call. So we go $100 to the turn, and which comes another Jack. So we boat up. He checks, and I like to check back for a little deception, and to maybe induce a bluff on the river, or for him to overvalue a worse hand, or to hero call with a pocket pair or a high card. Anyway, for a lot of reasons, I decide to just check back. The river comes, it's a complete brick, it's an 8. He checks again. I go ahead and bet 75 now, and he pretty much snap calls. We show our hand, and it's obviously good, so we scoop.
For this hand, the $10 button straddle is on, and the middle position player goes ahead and raises to $20, just min clicks it there. We're gonna be looking to put in a 3-bet here, so we raise to $75. I'm really just begging for him to call. The button folds, and the middle position player actually decides on a call. I love it so far. Flop comes down, Queen 4-4 with 2 clubs. He checks it over to me, and we are going to be looking to build this pot up. We go ahead and bet out $80. The middle position player calls, and we are heads up to the turn, which comes another 4, which is a pretty interesting card. If he has a flush draw now, he's probably not gonna call any bet. And if he has a queen, he might actually call any size bet. People really don't like to fold chops, and we're gonna be looking to set this thing up to cooler him for the maximum. So when he checks to me, I go ahead and bet out $300 into the $300 pot, basically potting it, and he goes ahead and snap calls. So I'm loving the situation. The river comes, and it's the 3 of spades. He checks it over to me, and we just shove all in for another $720. He tanks for 5 seconds before throwing in the call. We table our hand, it's good, and we scoop this massive pot, and we end the session for a huge profit.
Haters make you face it, now I'm stupid rich. Ran up a jet, ran up a band. I hopped out the wheel, they ain't understand. Ran up a jet, ran up a band. Your boy burning up, please bring me a fan. I was at the bottom, now I'm at the top. I was 13 making move, helping my family out. I was 14 hustling hard, I had